keep it 100 because it's time for Hub's Huddle Podcast. Listen to the man that talks sports from football to basketball 24/7, 365. He is known as the average Joe that knows more than average about sports.
What's up, man?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Hub.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Hub's Huddle, man. Today is Thursday, November 15th, 2018. Man, I got some basketball. I got some NFL for you guys. I'm going to kick this show off, starting off right now with the NFL. As you know, last week, my picks, man, they were just terrible last week, man. Last week I went 7-7. Man, it was just a bad week overall. Bad week, for my betting parlays, bad week for my picks, bad week for my DraftKings. I mean, I did win my ESPN fantasy football game, but that's about it. The Patriots lost, so that's another one. In big games that I thought that teams were going to win, man, these guys end up losing. Like the Atlanta Falcons end up losing to the Cleveland Browns, and they lost to them badly. And New England got smoked by the Tennessee Titans. Defensively, Tennessee, as I stated, on my podcast, Sunday, I said, the Tennessee Titans has the number one scoring defense, and they're also awesome in the red zone. And it all came out the show, man. Them dudes were aggressive. They were aggressive on offense. They were taking chances. Basically, it was one play where you knew the game was over when New England, they did a little trick play to pass from Edelman to Brady. Brady stumbled. He fell. And then when the Titans got the ball back, they did the same exact play, pass to Marcus Mariota for like 21 yards. That's when it was over, man. But, at the end of the game, guys like Deion Lewis had a lot to say. I mean, they won the game, but my thing is, he called out New England, called them cheap. And you know what? A lot of that, man, I think it's a little bit of bitterness. He tried to clear it up later on this week. Or like the early part of this week, talking about, because he's only 5'7", he has to be feisty. I mean, dude, you done won 2 chips with these guys, man. You know what I mean? Like, this team right here, this organization is the one that basically revived your whole career. And, you come out here, with this talk at the end of the game, like, bruh, you only rushed for 57 yards. I understand that, that your team won, but you wasn't really a big factor in this game right here. The main factor was the defense, and also Marcus Mariota making the throws that he made during this game. I mean, Marcus Mariota picked apart this Patriots defense, man, but it was a big win for them. Patriots on the bye this week. Hope they get their thing together. I'm going to talk about them a little bit in this podcast a little bit later, but first, let me get into tonight's matchup between the Seattle Seahawks. They'll be welcoming in the Green Bay Packers. This one here, I think this got a good chance to be a good game. I think this is going to be a better game than what we saw last week with the Steelers beating down the Panthers. Both of these teams, the Packers and the Seahawks, they're both looking for, they're both trying to get into the playoffs, trying to, get themselves in good position. The Packers coming in at 4-1. We got the Seahawks at 4-5. It's going to come down to, in my opinion, it's going to come down to, if the Packers are able to establish the run, kind of like how they did against the Miami Dolphins last week. I think combined they had 195 yards rushing. They had a $145 from, I believe it was Aaron Jones, off of 15 carries, and he had 2 touchdowns. The key right here, which I think is going to tell, the whole game, is Russell Wilson against this Packers, secondary. Russell Wilson's, man, Russell Wilson all year, this dude has been throwing a great deep ball. He's been phenomenal in that area of the game. I think he's going to, try to expose this Green Bay Packers secondary. I think the crowd with the 12s and, Russell Wilson and, I think Seattle's going to be, they're going to edge out Green Bay tonight. I'm giving it a score of, I want to say about a 30-23. So I'm going to say 7-point game. I think it's going to be a very good game between these two quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, like I said, has been playing very well, in passing, especially with the deep ball. So, look for a lot of that tonight. So, I think, Seattle is trying, they coming off a tough loss last week against the Rams, so I think they bounce back here and they get a W at home. And it seemed like so far on Thursday Night Football, it seemed like the home team has been winning every week. So, man, I just roll the dice and go home, man. So hopefully I get back on this good stick for this week, my picks. Like I said, last week was just terrible, man, 7-7. I have to do better than that. I am 92-54-2 on the year. So, but moving on, man, certain things I want to address. First up, let's talk about that game Sunday night between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. It was a good game, and, I had picked the Eagles to win, but I also said, if the Cowboys established a run, I could really see it go the other way. And these guys, man, they got Zeke involved in that offense, man. He ran wild all over the Eagles. It was a 7-point game, but the game itself seemed like it wasn't as close as the actual score was. I know going into the fourth quarter, I was saying, like that missed field goal by Dallas, if they did lose, that would have really hurt them down the run. And, thing with the Eagles was, they went for on one of those, I think it was like a 4th and 2 when they tried to convert it and they didn't get it. And that right there shifted the whole momentum where they should have just kicked the field goal. It's a lot of fans, they got upset after the game. Eagles fans, I live in, Eagles country. So, I get to hear a lot of that stuff. They're calling the radio station, they're upset. They think the season is over. My personal opinion, man, that Sunday's a must win. And I know they're playing against the Saints, and that's going to be a difficult task. But sometimes, man, when a lot of people are already writing off a team, going into a game, the other team seems to win. Now, I'm not making my pick, for, Sunday's game yet. I will do that on Saturday. But, just looking at it, I can really see the Eagles could possibly pull this off. Already the Saints are like an 8.5-point favorite. That's very huge, especially like for the Eagles to be an 8.5 point underdog. The Eagles got their whole season on the line right now. Like if you lose this one, it's pretty much, in my opinion, a wrap. It's certain things, that, I listened to like Doug Peterson, press conference, and it kind of seemed like he was throwing a little bit of shade at Carson Wentz, and I kind of feel like Carson Wentz throwing a little shade at Doug Peterson. But I think, Doug said this about a couple weeks ago when they lost to Carolina, when he said that the quarterback, he has to take, what's given to him. And I absolutely agree. Certain situations, I like to call Carson Wentz, like I said, he's a heck of a good quarterback, but I like to call him guts and glory with no brain. And I'm going to, break that down as to say, I'm calling him guts and glory because, he makes those heroic throws. But when I say with no brain is that, he doesn't take what the defense gives him. Like if you look for an example from, the week they played the Carolina Panthers, it was like a 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2, one of those. And he had Smallwood in the flat wide open, for like the 2-yard first down. You didn't need to go for the whole guts and glory to throw it, across the middle to, to Zach Ertz, which turned out to be incomplete or, what I mean? So, he could have just threw it to Smallwood and they could have just marched on down the field for the touchdown. And I know a lot of that is going to be like learning stuff for him, learning, growing pains and everything. But you're in a situation now, like I told a lot of fans, and I tell them, like beginning of the year, like the end of last year when they beat New England, and, the first thing people were saying to me was, yeah, we going to get Carson back and this and that. And the first thing that I said to them was, I said, you know what? It's all fine and dandy if you get back Carson Wentz. I said, but, you hope he doesn't come back with too much of a chip on the shoulder. Like you got to look at it as, Nick Foles took that Philly team to a championship and won, and if you're a competitor on any level, any sport, and if this is your, supposed to be your team, you're going to want to take your team to the championship. And you've seen a lot of the play from Carson Wentz all year. It looked like he's been trying to do, like too much. Like maybe he's trying to prove it to the fans. Maybe he's trying to prove it to himself that, that he still is the man in Philly, and it's a lot of those throws that he doesn't have to make, like what was like the second series in the Cowboys game. We threw that interception to Vander Esch. And, that was a throw that you didn't have to make. It's been throws like that all year. You look at it like, you didn't have to do that. Like, sometimes, when you see, you're running back in the flat, you need to take that. And that's what I was trying to explain to people. But, you get thrown with this whole, oh, you're just a hater, you're just mad because, the Eagles beat the Patriots. No, I'm just trying to talk, a little bit of common sense. I'm just trying to, let you guys know, like, you don't want your guy coming back thinking he has to do all of this, to get back to fans, whatever. You guys already love him, So, I think he's just doing a little bit too much. I think he just needs to calm down. I don't know. I got into an argument with a few people. Basically I told him, I said, listen, Doug Peterson already won a Super Bowl there. So Doug Peterson's job is pretty much secure. I said, if Carson don't get the job done by the time his contract is up, I don't know, about his contract extension in Philadelphia, because they're going to look at it as, Doug won with a quote-unquote backup quarterback, as you guys like to call it. So, it's just a lot. I mean, let the kid be. He has a lot of growing up to do, as far as like being a quarterback. Like I said, he got the arm and everything, but he just needs to be a little bit more smarter in the pocket, in my opinion. And that's what I think was, one of the issues with Philly. Other one is, like the defense. And I know they're banged up. They just lost Ronald Darby, for the year. And, Jalen Mills is banged up. I mean, it happens, man. It just happens. And it don't seem like these dudes are showing the same championship swag that they had last year, the same hunger they had last year. It seemed like the hungry dogs are a little bit full. Like they ate all the kibbles and bits and they were just done. And that's not even shade. That's just looking in it, just looking at them. And as I told people before, I said, you know what? Like, we sit up here and, they talk about New England. I said, the one thing about New England that, separates them from everybody else is that they're hungry, year in and year out. They come in, act like they never won before. And, it's like a whole new tune every single season. They come in like they haven't won the year before. Even if they did win or didn't win, even if they got close, it was a Super Bowl, they act like, they didn't win. These guys remain hungry. Maybe it's the coaching. Maybe it's because, as Lane Johnson would say, it's no fun up there. But, I mean, hey, if these guys got the championship formula to be competing year in and year out, it's something up there, that should be going across the league. Shifting gears, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys on the other hand. I know a lot of people, they're talking about the Cowboys, their season is saved. I mean, for right now, because they're going to go play, Atlanta, on Sunday. I'm not liking the Cowboys. I mean, they do have a chance, but Atlanta at home has been pretty well, so, it's, that right there is going to be a good game on Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to check that out, just like I'm going to check out the Eagles and the Saints. But, this Cowboys team, like I said, man, Zeke, that run game needs at least 25 to 30 touches, to get going. Zeke has to be involved like how he was on Sunday against Atlanta to have a chance in this game. I mean, they do have a chance. Dak has to be better, with, reading, the defense, post snap, because he basically, if you ever watch him, he stares down, his wide receiver and then he throws it. If you're a smart enough DB, and you can catch up on that and pick him off every single time. But, I don't think, Dallas's, troubles are over. I think it's still there, but, that was a huge win for them on Sunday. And, if they win, again on Sunday, that leads up to, Thursday. They're going to be playing for first place on Thanksgiving, next week against the Washington Redskins. So that'll be pretty interesting if they do win, and say if Washington having to slip up against Houston. I mean, man, that's going to be a good game. And moving on, I mean, what, it's like every couple of weeks I have to address, New England fans. It's just, man, I think because we're on the bye, and, these fans, man, like I said, I'm a Patriots fan. I will admit that, but I cannot stand New England fans. Like a lot of these New England Patriots fans, I can't stand them because they so coddled, man. Like, I'm reading something today, and it's been an ongoing thing since the end of last year, when guys started leaving in free agency, like, Deion Lewis left, and Danny Amendola left, and, Malcolm Butler, and they look at the offensive side of the ball, and they say, oh, well, Bill Belichick is trying to sabotage Tom Brady by taking away all of his weapons. That is about the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because Why would he sabotage the quarterback when his legacy is tied to the quarterback and he's still in New England? Like, that is so stupid. Like, yeah, they got rid of Deion Lewis. They drafted Sony Michel. Down the line, Sony Michel is going to be the better back. You know, if you're looking at what this dude was doing before he got hurt, this dude was like a workhorse. Him and James White coming out of the backfield. You had Sony Michel getting the bulk load of the carries. This dude was running wild. And then, you know, you get rid of Danny Amendola. Now, this is where we need to stop this at. And I'm going to say this once and for all. So, New England fans, if you don't like it, you know, oh well. But it's the complete truth. If you all remember last summer, preseason, you know, Danny Amendola was on a bubble, not to even make the team. Julian Edelman got hurt in that preseason game against the Lions, and this is what secured the spot for Danny Amendola. Danny Amendola played Julian Edelman's role last year. That was Julian. That right there was the role that Danny Amendola played. If Julian Edelman was healthy last year, Danny would have been out, no question. He was on the bubble, and it is what it is. Just come to realize with it. And okay, Brandon Cooks. All right, but replace Brandon Cooks, you bring in Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon is leading the receivers right now in yards. Josh Gordon right now is balling for New England. And this is something that New England need, a big, physical, fast receiver. And that's who they got. Instead of having another smaller guy in Cooks. Yeah, Cooks is fast as lightning. But you got a nice, big, physical wide receiver in Josh Gordon. If you ask me to take one or the other, Josh Gordon healthy or Brandon Cooks, I'm taking Josh Gordon because I have that nice, slot receiver in Julian Edelman. I also got Chris Hogan, who needs to be more involved in the offense anyway. I don't think he scored since like week 2, but he needs to be more involved. And also, you still got Gronk. And Gronk, yeah, he didn't play the past 2 weeks. But you got to realize is that, this guy practiced all week last week. He traveled with the team. They decided not to play him. In my opinion on that was they figured they let him get another week of rest so he can come back 100% for the remaining 6 games that is on the schedule to make that push to going into January. You need everybody healthy as much as you can. So this is my opinion of why he did not play. I thought he was, he probably was healthy enough to play, but I mean, people just need, fan base in New England, you just need to calm down, man. Like, it could be a lot worse. You guys just need to chill out and stop thinking that Bill Belichick is trying to sabotage Tom Brady, because he's not. Both of these guys' legacies is tied together, and it's not going to change. But that's it for the NFL side of things. Man, Patriots fans, man, they really get me. But like I said, tonight, I like Seattle over Green Bay, like a 30-23 point game. I think it's gonna be a good game tonight on NFL Network, Fox Network. But shifting gears to the NBA, of course, as you all know, this past Saturday, big trade went down. The Philadelphia 76ers, they acquired Jimmy Butler and also Justin Patton from the Minnesota Timberwolves for the 2022 second round pick, Jarrett Bayless, Robert Covington, and Dario Saric. My opinion on this trade, I think this was a good trade for both sides. Jimmy needed to be out of Minnesota, as you heard all the problems that was going on out there, and also in Minnesota acquiring Covington and Sarge, that's pretty good for their depth, for their bench or whatever. And also they get the 2022 second round pick. Who knows what the Sixers are going to be like in 2022? Obviously, probably still a playoff team. Who really knows? But it's some people that were talking about, well, they went ahead and acquired these 2 guys when Houston offered them 4 first round picks. Man, my opinion on this, man, listen. 4 first round picks would have been hit and miss because there'd have been high draft picks. There wasn't going to be lottery picks for the next 4 years. If you look at what Houston have, they have a playoff caliber team at least for the next 4 to 5 years. James Harden over there and however long Chris Paul is going to play over there and that supporting cast over there in Houston. I know they got issues with Carmelo Anthony. It looks like Carmelo Anthony is going to be out, they're going to be, moving on from Carmelo, but still without Carmelo, they're still a playoff team. So for the next 4 to 5 years, they will be a playoff team. Why would you give up that, for 4 first-round picks? That's going to be late picks, and those are like hit or miss. You don't even know what you're going to get. Instead of getting 2 players, good, 2 solid role players for your current roster now that is already young. Yeah, they got Derrick Rose, but you also got, Wiggins, you got Karl Anthony Thomas. You got these guys over there. They're building around these 2 as like the cornerstones of the franchise. And why would you even, invest into 4 first-round draft picks where, you don't know what they're going to be? Like, I think it was a good trade on both sides. I think it was a good trade for Philly because they needed that, extra, star or whatever. I mean, I look at Jimmy as like a replacement for, Markelle Fultz. I don't know what they're going to do with Fultz. Are they going to keep him, trade him, whatever? This kid, it seems like it's all mental with him. I seen him the other night shooting a free throw, and I never seen nobody double pump. Oh, yes, I have. On NBA 2K, where you can double pump a foul shot. Hey man, this guy, he he pump fake a foul shot. I'm like, this dude. It's just all mental. I think the emergence of Jimmy Butler in Philly is going to be good for them. Can also be bad, man. As people, as you heard, people talking about how Jimmy's, locker room cancer. Man, who knows, man? It's always sources. Like I said, sometimes you can't believe sources. It's just like NFL with Gronk. People, Gronk's going to retire at the end of the year. Man, it's coming from sources, man. Like I always tell people, man, unless it's coming from the player himself, then I'm going to believe it. So people were, sources saying that Jimmy's like a locker room cancer. It's sources. We don't really know, So I think it's a good trade for Philly. I think it's going to help them, contend in the East, with Boston and Toronto. Still got Indiana, Milwaukee. It's a lot of good teams over in the East. I feel like, the East just got a lot stronger. So, I like the deal for Philly. They do get to see, my Celtics on Christmas Day. I am looking forward to that, especially now, Celtics seem like they starting to get it together a little bit. Last night I had a big win over Chicago. And I still think, like Boston, like I think Gordon Hayward, he's saying he wouldn't mind coming off the bench. I think that'd be a good idea because it doesn't seem like it meshes well. And I don't think, Celtics know their identity yet. So, that's for another story, another topic. But for Philly, man, I think it was a good deal. I know he had his debut game last night. They did lose, but he had like 14 points. It's only his first game. Let's see how he gets more, incorporated with the offense. And for heaven's sake, somebody please tell Joel Embiid to stop taking so many threes. Like, dude, you know what? Like I said, I ain't a Sixers fan, but I just want to see this kid get in the post and do some work. Because obviously, it ain't no center in the league that's gonna be able to hold him down if he get hit, if he gets into the post. That'd be awesome, man. But stop taking the threes, Embiid. In other NBA news, man, congratulations to LeBron James, who has moved past Wilt Chamberlain for 5th in the all-time scoring list. Right now, he is currently behind Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Karl Malone, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He only needs 6,963 points to be the NBA, all-time leading scorer. And at this point, LeBron's what? He's on 33. I think by the time he's done playing, it depends. If he plays another, give about I guess 4 or 5, maybe 6 more years, he definitely want to get it. It's not something that's like too far out in reach. So I think that's something that he can, get in the long run. So I'm just going to predict it that he will be at the end of, his career. He will be not only the all-time leading scorer, but he will have a more, all-time leading in a couple other categories as well. LeBron James, like I said, best basketball player on the planet. Hats off to him for this amazing accomplishment. And I look forward to seeing him, keep climbing up the all-time player list for scoring. Also, we got some riff in, Golden State, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green. It happened as a few nights ago in that LA Clippers game. They end up losing in overtime. But it was like a riff on the sideline, and rumors swirling, talk about it's mainly about, KD's, pending free agency coming up this year. Draymond, I guess, he wants to know where his loyalty's at. Man, who knows, man? You know what? Like I always said before, man, Draymond Green, to me, in my opinion, he's always been the clown. Like, I mean, people, they hold Kevin Durant down now because of him going to Golden State. I mean, I can understand that after the first year. But, now, man, just let that stuff go, man. Because if KD came up and suited up for your squad, you'd be loving that dude. So, just, man, look, man, these players these days, man, a lot of men, they just want to win. If they want to take the quote-unquote easy way to go win, so be it. It's just the way everything is set up these days, especially in basketball. So, but that's it for me tonight, guys. Keep it locked and loaded for Saturday. I'll be back with my remaining Week 11 picks. Like I said, hopefully, I do better than I did last week. And I'll give you guys, latest news on NBA or boxing, anything that I might have at that moment, MMA. Until next time, man, shout out to all my fans out there, across the globe, man. I'm moving on, man. I'm getting, international love right now. So, shout out to all you guys, man, every single, outlet that you're listening to me on, whether it be iTunes, Google Podcasts, whether it be Spotify, whether it be iHeartRadio, whether it be TuneIn Radio, whether it be Radio Public, Podbean. I'm on a ton of, outlets, man. Just keep rocking with me, man. Keep sharing this. Keep showing the love, man. Shout out to all my love, all my fans, man. I really appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you guys. Stay blessed, man. Until next time, this is your boy Hub, signing off for Hub's Huddle. We are out.